The dark truth of Los Angeles is far more sinister than the glittering facade suggests, a reality that millions flock here annually, drawn by the irresistible allure of a world where dreams are made but rarely kept. You've seen the movies, heard the stories, perhaps even felt the magnetic pull yourself, believing in the endless possibilities that shimmer under the Californian sun. But why did this city collapse so fast, shedding its golden skin to reveal something far more unsettling beneath? Once it was paradise, a beacon of hope and innovation. Now it's chaos, a labyrinth of broken promises and unspoken dangers. You're not entirely ignoring the city's underbelly, are you? You sense there's more than meets the eye, a profound psychological toll lurking beneath the surface. We're not talking about petty crime you can easily look up, or the well-trodden tales of Hollywood excess. We're delving into 10 dangerous secrets tourists aren't just ignoring, but fundamentally misunderstanding, starting with the insidious way ambition devours the soul. We all remember the Golden Age, the era when Hollywood felt like a grand stage for genuine talent, where stars were born from raw passion and a touch of magic. There was a certain innocence to the ambition then, a shared dream of creating something timeless. This was the Los Angeles of legend, a place where artistry seemed to flourish, where the pursuit of fame, while intense, still held a semblance of integrity. It was an era we look back on with a profound sense of nostalgia, a time when the city's soul felt vibrant and hopeful, unburdened by the relentless, often cruel machinery it would become. But that magic, that very soul, has been eroded, chipped away by a relentless, cutthroat pursuit, transforming innocent dreams into a ruthless game. The rupture began subtly, a gradual shift from creative aspiration to unbridled greed and unchecked ambition. Today, the silent erosion of personal boundaries in the ruthless pursuit of fame is not merely an unfortunate side effect, it is the very currency of survival in this city. Aspiring artists, young hopefuls, and even established professionals find themselves entangled in a web where personal space, mental well-being, and even dignity are sacrificed at the altar of visibility. We've all seen the desperate measures, the constant need for validation, the performative authenticity that permeates every interaction. Data from mental health professionals working in Los Angeles consistently reveal elevated rates of anxiety, depression, and identity crises among residents, particularly those in creative industries, far exceeding national averages. The pressure to maintain an image, to be perpetually on, creates a profound disconnect from self, a quest for external approval that hollows out the individual. You felt this too, that nagging feeling of needing to present a perfect version of yourself, even when you're crumbling inside. This isn't just about competition, it's about a systemic psychological assault, a constant barrage that tells you who you are is never enough. The city demands a performance, not a person, and the cost is staggering. But wait until you see how this relentless drive for fame blinds residents to the very air they breathe, threatening their health in ways they never suspected. The air itself, once fresh and promising, now carries a hidden menace. Beyond the smog, which is a visible, if often ignored, problem, lie more insidious environmental hazards silently poisoning communities and affecting air quality in ways that are deeply concerning. While we celebrate the glamour, the true cost is paid in the lungs of its most vulnerable citizens. The air itself, once fresh and promising, now carries a hidden menace. Beyond the smog, which is a visible, if often ignored, problem, lie more insidious environmental hazards silently poisoning communities and affecting air quality in ways that are deeply concerning. While we celebrate the glamour, the true cost is paid in the lungs of its most vulnerable citizens. We all remember the Los Angeles of postcards and old films, a city blessed by nature with endless sunshine and ocean breezes that promised a healthy, vibrant life. People moved here for the climate, for the outdoor living, for the very idea of clean, invigorating air. There was a time when windows were left open, when the scent of orange blossoms truly mingled with a fresh sea breeze, painting a picture of a natural paradise. The vision of a healthy, active lifestyle was not just a marketing ploy. It was a core part of the city's identity, something we all yearned for, a natural magic. But that magic, that very promise of health, has been suffocated by the relentless sprawl, the unchecked industrial growth, and the endless, suffocating traffic. The very air, once a symbol of vitality, became a silent killer. The pursuit of progress, of constant, unbridled expansion, overshadowed the fundamental human need for a breathable environment. This shift wasn't a sudden, dramatic event. It was a slow, creeping toxicity that few acknowledged until its effects became undeniable. The golden glow of the city began to dim, replaced by a permanent haze, and with it, the soul of what it once represented. Recent studies reveal alarming concentrations of ultrafine particulate matter, microscopic pollutants that penetrate deep into the lungs and bloodstream. These aren't just from vehicle emissions, though those contribute significantly. They emanate from industrial sites, often hidden in plain sight, nestled disturbingly close to residential zones, particularly in underserved communities. Data from public health agencies consistently links these pollutants to elevated rates of respiratory illnesses, chronic asthma, heart disease, and even cognitive decline, especially among children and the elderly. We've seen the reports, the maps showing distinct pockets of sickness, silent epidemics unfolding in neighborhoods far from the glitzy boulevards. This isn't just about a general sense of unease. It's about verifiable, concrete proof of a compromised environment. You might dismiss it as merely smog, a minor inconvenience that comes with living in a large city. But imagine knowing that every breath you take, every moment your child plays outside could be slowly diminishing their future, compromising their health in ways that are irreversible. You've felt that slight tightness in your chest on a particularly hazy day, that unexplained cough that lingers longer than it should. This isn't just about impersonal statistics or distant policy debates. It's about the fundamental right to clean air, a basic human necessity that has been quietly, insidiously compromised for millions. We all share the same sky, the same atmospheric currents, and yet some bear a far heavier and often invisible burden. The quest for endless growth has poisoned the very essence of life here. And yet, even as the air thickens with these unseen threats, another, even more insidious danger lurks beneath the polished surface. The glittering illusion of economic opportunity that traps millions in a cycle of debt and desperation. But wait until you discover how these economic traps are meticulously disguised as paths to prosperity, leading unsuspecting dreamers down a treacherous, often inescapable road, demanding more than just their labor, but their very financial freedom. We all remember the stories, perhaps even from our own families, of those who flocked to California with little more than a suitcase and a dream, finding genuine economic opportunity. This was the land where hard work paid off, where a stable job could lead to a comfortable home, a secure future, and a sense of upward mobility. Los Angeles was once the epitome of the American dream, a place where innovation and industry created tangible wealth for countless individuals. The post-war boom, the rise of aerospace, the golden age of entertainment, these weren't just glittering facades. They were real engines of prosperity, offering a pathway to a better life for anyone willing to seize it. There was a collective belief that if you just worked hard enough, you could make it, that the city would reward your ambition with a life of comfort and fulfillment. This was the magic of Los Angeles, a promise of tangible success. But that dream, that very ladder to prosperity, has been replaced by a gilded cage, meticulously crafted from inflated promises and precarious realities. The city, once a beacon of opportunity, now operates as a sophisticated economic trap, disguising relentless competition and unsustainable living costs as glittering chances. The allure of making it big draws millions, yet for the vast majority, it's a relentless treadmill of low-wage, high-pressure jobs, all while the cost of simply existing skyrockets.
This isn't just about financial struggle, it's about a systemic erosion of economic stability, a profound shift from a landscape of genuine growth to one of manufactured scarcity, where the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against the hopeful. The soul of economic fairness has been twisted, replaced by a ruthless system designed to extract maximum labor for minimum security. Statistics paint a grim picture of this new reality. The median home price in Los Angeles County, for example, now hovers around $700,000, a figure wildly out of reach for a median household income that barely scrapes past $70,000 annually. This disparity forces over 50% of residents into renting, often spending more than half of their income on housing alone, far exceeding the recommended 30%. The explosion of the gig economy, once lauded as flexible opportunity, has instead created a vast underclass of workers with no benefits, no job security, and wages often below minimum wage after factoring in expenses. Data from economic policy institutes show that consumer debt, particularly credit card and personal loans, has surged among Los Angeles residents, not for luxury purchases, but to cover basic living expenses. We've seen the reports, the economic forecasts that continuously highlight the widening gap, the growing number of people working 2 or 3 jobs just to keep their heads above water. This isn't just anecdotal evidence. It's a cold, hard fact backed by verifiable economic indicators. You've felt that crushing weight of bills, that constant anxiety about making ends meet, even when you're working tirelessly. Imagine moving to a city with boundless hope, only to find yourself perpetually chasing a mirage, trapped in a cycle where every dollar earned is immediately consumed by the exorbitant cost of living. That gnawing feeling of never quite getting ahead, of always being one paycheck away from disaster, is the daily reality for millions here.
You might think you're experiencing the vibrant hustle, but often you're witnessing a quiet desperation, a city where dreams are sold at an unpayable price. This isn't just about individual failures. It's about a structural system that siphons wealth upwards, leaving the majority in a precarious state, perpetually striving, rarely thriving. The quest for financial freedom has become a relentless, unwinnable battle. And yet, even as financial freedom becomes a distant memory for many, the city's stark social disparities create volatile fault lines beneath the polished surface, threatening to crack the very foundation of this glittering illusion. But wait until you see how these deep-seated inequalities manifest in ways that are not only unjust, but profoundly dangerous, creating a simmering tension that tourists often completely overlook. And yet, even as financial freedom becomes a distant memory for many, the city's stark social disparities create volatile fault lines beneath the polished surface, threatening to crack the very foundation of this glittering illusion. But wait until you see how these deep-seated inequalities manifest in ways that are not only unjust, but profoundly dangerous, creating a simmering tension that tourists often completely overlook. Once, Los Angeles was seen as a vibrant tapestry, a mosaic of cultures and dreams woven together. People from every corner of the globe arrived, bringing their traditions, their hopes, and their unique contributions, creating a dynamic, if sometimes challenging, urban landscape. There was a romanticized notion of opportunity for all, a place where different communities could coexist and even thrive, each adding a distinct flavor to the city's identity. The diverse neighborhoods, the rich cultural festivals, the sense that despite differences, everyone was striving for a slice of the Californian dream. This was the idealized Los Angeles, a place where integration and mutual respect were, at least on the surface, celebrated. We all remember the stories of communities building themselves up, creating their own magic within the larger urban sprawl. But that tapestry, that very fabric of community, has frayed, torn apart by widening chasms of inequality and a ruthless economic stratification. The city, once a symbol of diverse opportunity, has become a stark illustration of extreme wealth coexisting, often uncomfortably, with profound poverty. The glittering facades of Beverly Hills stand in stark contrast to the sprawling encampments of Skid Row, not as separate entities, but as two sides of the same coin,
inextricably linked by a system that funnels resources and opportunities predominantly upwards.
This isn't just about rich and poor. It's about systemic neglect, about entire communities being left behind, their struggles ignored, while the privileged few prosper with ostentatious displays of wealth. The soul of social equity has been sacrificed, replaced by a brutal hierarchy that breeds resentment and division. The numbers are chilling. Los Angeles County consistently ranks among the most economically unequal regions in the United States. Data from the Economic Policy Institute shows that the top 1% of earners in the county capture over 20% of the total income, while the bottom 50% struggle to make ends meet. This extreme disparity is exacerbated by housing segregation, where historically underserved communities face chronic underinvestment in schools, infrastructure, and public services. Health outcomes also mirror this divide. Studies from the Los Angeles Department of Public Health indicate significantly higher rates of chronic diseases, lower life expectancies, and reduced access to quality health care in low-income neighborhoods compared to affluent areas. We've seen the maps, the stark geographical lines delineating zones of despair from enclaves of luxury. Concrete proof that the city is not just divided, but deeply fractured. You felt that discomfort, perhaps driving through an opulent neighborhood only to turn a corner and confront the raw reality of homelessness, the sheer scale of human suffering. That sense of unease, that nagging question of how such extremes can coexist in one of the wealthiest cities in the world, is a burden many residents carry daily. It's not just about witnessing poverty. It's about feeling the palpable tension that arises from such profound injustice, the unspoken anger that simmers beneath the surface. This isn't just about statistics. It's about the erosion of shared humanity, the constant reminder that for every dream realized, countless others are crushed by systemic barriers. The quest for a truly unified city feels more distant than ever, replaced by a fragile peace that could shatter at any moment. But wait until you see how this constant tension, these glaring inequalities, contribute to an even deeper, more pervasive problem. The profound psychological toll this city exacts on its inhabitants, a burden far heavier than any tourist could ever imagine. There was a time when the pursuit of dreams in Los Angeles, though challenging, felt invigorating. The city promised transformation, a chance to reinvent oneself, to shed old skins and embrace a new, vibrant identity. People came here seeking not just fame or fortune, but a sense of self-discovery, a place where they could truly belong and flourish. The allure was partly psychological, the promise of an unburdened future, free from the constraints of the past, a place where individualism was celebrated and personal growth encouraged. We all remember the stories of creative liberation, of finding one's true calling amidst the inspiring chaos, a genuine magic in the air that promised fulfillment. But that promise of psychological liberation has curdled into a relentless, often brutal, competition for validation and survival. The profound psychological toll of a city built on illusion and relentless competition is not merely a consequence, it is an inherent feature of its modern existence. Every interaction, every aspiration, every public display feels like an audition, a constant pressure to perform, to be seen, to be more. This isn't just about career stress, it's about a fundamental assault on self-worth, a pervasive anxiety that infiltrates every aspect of life. The constant comparison, the fleeting nature of success, the ever-present fear of obsolescence, these factors combine to create a deeply unsettling environment where mental well-being is often sacrificed for the illusion of progress. The soul of genuine self-expression has been replaced by a performative existence, a constant struggle to maintain a facade. Mental health professionals report an escalating crisis in Los Angeles. Studies from local universities and healthcare providers reveal significantly higher rates of imposter syndrome, burnout, and chronic stress-related disorders compared to national averages, particularly among young adults and those in the creative industries.
The relentless pursuit of an idealized image, fueled by social media and the city's inherent culture of celebrity, leads to widespread body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and a pervasive sense of inadequacy. Pharmaceutical sales for anti-anxiety and antidepressant medications show a consistent upward trend in the Los Angeles metropolitan area, far outpacing population growth. We've seen the quiet desperation in the eyes of those striving for a breakthrough, the exhaustion etched onto faces that are constantly trying to project an image of effortless success, concrete proof of the internal battles fought daily. You've felt that pressure, that internal voice whispering that you're not quite good enough, that you need to do more, be more, have more, just to keep up. Imagine living in a city where that voice is amplified by every billboard, every perfectly curated social media feed, every casual conversation about someone else's meteoric rise. That gnawing feeling of never quite measuring up, of always being on the verge of being found out, is the daily companion for millions here. This isn't just about individual neuroses. It's about a collective psychological burden, a city that demands constant self-optimization, leaving little room for genuine introspection or peace. The quest for inner tranquility becomes an almost impossible feat in a landscape designed to keep you perpetually striving, perpetually insecure. But even as the city saps your inner peace, it also distorts your most fundamental human need, the desire for genuine connection, replacing it with a hollow dance of transactional relationships and fleeting alliances. Wait until you discover how difficult it is to find true belonging when everyone is playing a part and every interaction feels like a negotiation. The city saps your inner peace. It also distorts your most fundamental human need, the desire for genuine connection, replacing it with a hollow dance of transactional relationships and fleeting alliances. Wait until you discover how difficult it is to find true belonging when everyone is playing a part and every interaction feels like a negotiation. We all remember a time when communities felt tight-knit, when friendships were forged through shared experiences, not calculated networking. Los Angeles, despite its sprawling anonymity, once fostered pockets of genuine connection, where neighbors looked out for each other, and social gatherings were about shared joy, not strategic advantage. There was a sense of camaraderie, an unspoken understanding that you were all in this together, chasing dreams, or simply building lives. This was the magic of human warmth, a collective soul, promising a place where you could truly belong. But that warmth, that very fabric of authentic connection, has been replaced by a cold, transactional calculus. The city, once a place of vibrant community, now fosters a culture where every interaction feels like an audition, every friendship a potential stepping stone, every gesture weighed for its utility. The relentless competition for fame, fortune, or even just survival has seeped into our most intimate relationships, turning genuine empathy into a scarce commodity. This isn't just about casual acquaintances. It's about a systemic shift, a profound moral decay, where the value of a person is often measured by their current influence or potential usefulness. The soul of true belonging has been hollowed out, replaced by a network of fleeting alliances and strategic partnerships, a constant, exhausting performance. Social science research consistently highlights a growing epidemic of loneliness and social isolation in major metropolitan areas, with Los Angeles frequently cited due to its unique pressures. Studies from the Pew Research Center indicate that a significant percentage of adults in Los Angeles report having fewer close friends than 5 or 10 years ago, and a higher reliance on superficial online connections that offer little real emotional support. Anecdotal evidence from support groups and therapists points to a pervasive sense of distrust and a difficulty in forming deep, lasting bonds, as individuals constantly guard against exploitation or betrayal, fearing that their vulnerabilities will be weaponized. We've seen the empty eyes behind forced smiles at industry events, the rapid turnover of friends as fortunes shift, concrete proof that something fundamental, something human, has been lost. You've felt that hollow ache, that longing for someone who truly sees you beyond your achievements or your utility, who values you for who you are, not what you can provide. Imagine living in a city where that longing is almost never truly satisfied, where every potential connection comes with an unspoken price tag, a mental calculation of what you can offer or what they can provide. That gnawing feeling of being constantly evaluated, of never quite being enough just as you are, is the daily reality for millions navigating this social labyrinth. This isn't just about personal preference or individual social anxiety. It's about a systemic erosion of trust, a city that prizes appearance over authenticity, leaving its inhabitants starved for genuine human warmth. The quest for true connection becomes an exhausting, often heartbreaking endeavor, a battle against the very current of the city's social waters. And yet, even as human connection becomes a commodity, the city's very infrastructure hides another dark truth: the pervasive, often unseen, threat of data exploitation and the erosion of privacy in an increasingly surveillance-heavy environment. But wait until you discover how easily your digital footprint is tracked, analyzed, and monetized, turning your personal life into just another product in the relentless pursuit of profit. We all remember a time when privacy felt like an inherent right, when your personal life was your own, free from the prying eyes of corporations or algorithms. Los Angeles, with its sprawling anonymity and promise of reinvention, once offered a sense of liberation from constant scrutiny, a place where you could build a new life without your past following you, where your data wasn't constantly being harvested and traded. There was a certain freedom in simply existing, in making choices without the invisible hand of predictive analytics guiding your every click and purchase. This was the magic of personal autonomy, a sacred soul that allowed for true self-expression and unburdened exploration. But that autonomy, that very shield of privacy, has been systematically dismantled, chipped away by an insatiable hunger for data and profit. The city, a global hub for tech and entertainment, has become a testing ground for advanced surveillance and data harvesting technologies, turning its residents into unwitting participants in a vast, continuous experiment. Every public space is monitored, from sophisticated facial recognition cameras in shopping districts to license plate readers tracking your movements on major thoroughfares. Every digital interaction is logged. Every preference cataloged, every online search becomes a data point. This isn't just about targeted ads. It's about a fundamental redefinition of personal space, where your digital twin is meticulously constructed, bought, and sold without your full knowledge or informed consent. The soul of individual privacy has been commodified, replaced by a constant, invisible gaze that watches and learns. Reports from cybersecurity firms and investigative journalists consistently highlight the extensive data collection practices employed by tech companies headquartered or operating significantly within Los Angeles. From the pervasive use of smart devices in homes that listen and record, to advanced behavioral tracking through mobile apps that monitor your location and habits, the city is a nexus for surveillance capitalism. Data breaches affecting millions of residents are alarmingly frequent, exposing sensitive personal information, financial records, health data, personal communications to malicious actors and identity thieves. Legal experts and privacy advocates warn that existing regulations are woefully inadequate to protect citizens from the relentless monetization of their digital lives, leaving them vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation.
We've seen the headlines, the warnings from ethical hackers, concrete proof that our digital identities are constantly at risk, not just from criminals, but from the very systems designed to serve us. You've felt that eerie sense of being watched, that moment when an ad pops up for something you only thought about, or a conversation you had in private, making you wonder if your devices are listening. Imagine living in a city where that feeling is magnified, where you know your every move, every purchase, every online interaction is being recorded, analyzed, and used not just to sell you products, but to influence your choices, your opinions, and even your perception of reality. That gnawing feeling of a loss of control, of your personal narrative being written by algorithms and corporations, is the daily reality for millions here. This isn't just about convenience or the price of free services. It's about a systemic erosion of agency, a city that profits from stripping away your digital sovereignty, turning your life into a transparent ledger for profit. The quest for genuine privacy becomes an almost impossible Sisyphean task, a continuous battle against unseen forces. And yet, even as our digital selves are mined for profit, another, even more tangible danger lurks in the shadows of the city's glittering promise, the often ignored reality of pervasive exploitation within its vast, unregulated underground economies, particularly affecting the most vulnerable. But wait until you discover how the dream of Los Angeles can quickly devolve into a nightmare of forced labor, human trafficking, and desperate survival, far from the polished boulevards and guarded gates.
Once, Los Angeles was painted as a land of boundless opportunity, a place where anyone, regardless of their past, could arrive with little more than ambition and find work, building a new life from the ground up. It was the promise of genuine striving, a city that rewarded grit and perseverance with a chance at upward mobility, a place where even the humblest beginnings could lead to a stable future. This was a powerful magic, a collective belief in the dignity of labor and the promise of a fair exchange for hard work, a soul of equitable aspiration. But that dream, that very foundation of fair labor, has been twisted into a pervasive nightmare of exploitation, particularly within its vast, unregulated underground economies. The city, once a beacon for those seeking a better life, now harbors a sinister underbelly, where the dream can quickly devolve into forced labor, human trafficking, and desperate survival.
This isn't just about low wages. It's about a systemic dehumanization, where the most vulnerable are ensnared in cycles of debt bondage and coerced servitude, far from the polished boulevards and guarded gates. Reports from human rights organizations and law enforcement agencies reveal thousands of cases annually involving wage theft, unsafe working conditions, and outright human trafficking, in sectors ranging from illicit massage parlors to clandestine factories and domestic service. Data from legal aid groups indicate that undocumented workers in particular are preyed upon, often threatened with deportation if they speak out. Concrete proof of a system designed to silence and oppress. You've felt that crushing weight of needing a job, any job, to survive. Now imagine that desperation being used against you, knowing that your freedom, your very life, is contingent on your silence. This isn't just about crime. It's about a profound moral failing, a city that thrives on invisible suffering. But wait until you discover how this exploitation is often facilitated by unseen hands, pulling strings from the highest echelons of power. We all remember a Los Angeles where civic leaders ostensibly served the public good, where community voices, though diverse, held sway in shaping the city's future. There was a time when municipal decisions felt driven by collective progress, by the promise of improving life for all citizens, not just a select few. This was the magic of democratic process, a shared soul of civic responsibility, a belief that the city's destiny was guided by its people. But that promise of transparent governance, that very fabric of civic integrity, has been eroded by the pervasive influence of hidden power structures and corporate interests. The city, once a model of community-driven progress, now sees critical decisions made behind closed doors, driven by powerful lobbies and corporate greed, often at the expense of public well-being and environmental health. This isn't just about political donations. It's about a systemic capture of the democratic process, where money talks louder than citizen voices, and long-term public good is sacrificed for short-term profits. Investigations by watchdog groups and investigative journalists consistently expose vast sums of dark money flowing into local elections and ballot initiatives, influencing everything from zoning laws to public infrastructure projects. Data on land use controversies and environmental deregulation repeatedly show patterns favoring large developers and corporations, often to the detriment of established communities. Concrete proof that the scales of justice are heavily tipped.
You felt that frustration, that sense of powerlessness when your voice is ignored, when decisions are made that affect your life without your consent. Imagine that feeling amplified, knowing that the very institutions meant to protect you are instead serving unseen masters. This isn't just about politics, it's about a profound betrayal of trust, a city where the soul of its governance has been sold. But wait until you see how this erosion of democratic process leads to an even deeper betrayal, the commodification of the city's very cultural soul, stripping art and authenticity of their true meaning. There was a time when Hollywood, the beating heart of storytelling, felt like a sacred space where art was paramount, where genuine talent, raw vision, and groundbreaking narratives shaped global culture. People came here to create, to innovate, to push boundaries, believing in the profound magic of artistic integrity. This was the soul of Los Angeles, a place where authentic expression and creative risk were celebrated, where the pursuit of beauty and truth transcended mere commerce. But that creative sanctuary, that very essence of artistic integrity, has been systematically commodified, replaced by a relentless pursuit of marketability and brand synergy. The city, once a hub of artistic innovation, now often treats culture as a product, a calculated risk, stripping art of its soul and sacrificing authenticity for algorithms and predictable profits. This isn't just about box office numbers. It's about a fundamental cheapening of creative expression, where formulaic content triumphs over original vision, and genuine connection is replaced by curated experiences. Industry reports show a precipitous decline in original content development, with studios increasingly relying on reboots, sequels, and established franchises, driven by data-driven models that prioritize safety over innovation. Data from independent artists and cultural institutions reveals a struggle for survival as commercialization infiltrates local art scenes, turning grassroots movements into branded opportunities, concrete proof that the magic of true art is fading. You felt that disappointment, that hollow ache when something you once loved, something truly original, becomes a diluted, commercialized shell of its former self. Imagine living in a city where that happens everywhere, every day, where the very air you breathe whispers of manufactured dreams and mass-produced authenticity, leaving you starved for genuine meaning. This isn't just about entertainment, it's about the very essence of human expression, now lost in the relentless pursuit of profit. Empty tables, empty streets, empty dreams. We've peeled back the glittering facade, layer by layer, to reveal the raw, unsettling truth of a city that promises everything, but often delivers a profound emptiness. We've seen the silent erosion of personal boundaries, the hidden environmental poisons, the economic traps, the stark social chasms, the profound psychological toll, the transactional nature of human connection, the insidious reach of data exploitation, the pervasive exploitation in the shadows, the unseen hands of power, and the ultimate commodification of authenticity. We saw it happen. This isn't the Los Angeles of postcards. It's a living, breathing testament to what happens when ambition devours the soul, when progress ignores humanity, and when dreams become a currency for exploitation. Maybe there's still hope, a city glowing in silence. We saw it happen, the slow, creeping darkness. It's time we remember what it used to mean, what it could still mean. If you felt this change too, if these revelations resonate with your own experience of a world grappling with lost magic, share your story in the comments. And if you found this eye-opening, subscribe. The next story might reveal where everyone's going next, or how we might reclaim the soul of what's been lost.